Hello everyone. So I'm here.
Hello.
I have Azhar from Ecomply. Can we get a hi from everyone who is here already?
Okay, I can see in chat as well. Sushant
Yeah.
is
Hey Kishan. Hey
hi.
Mario. Hey Bata. Good to see you guys. So Azhar, do you want to take on the show and tell us like what exactly we are going to cover in this webinar? And then obviously we'll have a walkthrough of Ecomply. And
Mm-hmm.
then guys, please save your questions. You can just keep typing your questions and we'll get back to that after the demo with you. May the fourth win. Thank you, Thomas.
Okay, good. Thank you, Sampath, for inviting me on this SAT Mantra group and the webinar. I'm also gonna shut off my video because the voice is not clear. So just going to do that. A bit about basically what we're going to do is, as Sampath said, I am first of all going to introduce you. My name is Azhar Lishad. I'm the co-founder of Ecomply.io. We've been working on Ecomply for 1.5 years, and this is not just the idea that came in right now. It's been worked on for a very long time. Today we're going to cover first what are the do's and don'ts of GDPR and what is GDPR, and from very basics to very from very basic to understanding what you should do and what you shouldn't do as a company owner, as somebody who is can you all see my?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I'm just trying to look at in a way that I can give the screen on my current screen. So basically we'll talk about Ecomply, and we talk about GDPR. We talk about what it is actually, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to give a break in between to ask questions as well regarding GDPR. And once the GDPR topic do's and don'ts are covered, we can move towards questions, and then from questions we can move towards the app and show you how the app helps in the GDPR. So that's the agenda, and then answering your questions if there are any. Are we good to go? Cool. I'm just saying the chat. I'm just seeing this chat platform in here, so I can see everybody is ready. Yeah, so everybody's good to go. So here's Ecomply.io's presentation on GDPR. Basically, we are the guided GDPR task management tool, and if you look at GDPR in terms of how GDPR, what is GDPR basically? GDPR is a law called General Data Protection Regulation, and this regulation is basically going to be enforced on 25th May 2018, and the law asks a lot of companies to be compliant with a lot of requirements. Basically, the requirements are a bit complicated, and so we as an Ecomply.io help other companies to be compliant with it. The law basically also asks you to appoint a DPO, that's a data protection officer. Some companies do not have to appoint a DPO. They have to have somebody in the company has to take care of the data protection, and basically whatever the breaches are coming. And the most important thing that the law says that you need to take care of the personal data of your customers or employees. So this is the bit idea about GDPR. Going further, I wanted to say that what will happen after May 25th. So this is one of the question one of the journalists asked Tinder, which is a very popular app, as we all know about it. Tinder was asked to give all the data back by a customer of Tinder, and Tinder gave 800 pages of the data, and in that data they gave not only the name and the email address, but whatever chat messages were there, whoever she matched, whoever she did not match. So this whole article was very popular. Even on BuzzSumo is the highest rated article as well. And this article only talks about that how much a data company has, and the companies. So we all as companies have a lot of data of our customers, and so we have to give that data to companies, and anybody can ask anybody in our customers, whoever data we have. I mean, not a customer, prospect customer, or old customer can ask the details, and we have to be ready about it. And the problem right now that companies are not ready for it. and they can't give such kind of data to their customers. And Tinder did not give my data back. So I also asked Tinder. I wanted to try as an app and see if they are going to give me my data, but they never gave me. I also tried Snapchat. Snapchat never gave me my data as well. So I don't know how this article really made sense, because it was popular, but I never got my own data from these big companies. So this was one thing. And after May 2018, companies like ICO called Information of Commission Officer, and basically ICO is a data protection authority in UK, and they take care of UK data protection. And ICO can ask you anytime upon request, please show me your documents. And the problem right now is that companies, 95% of the companies are not ready for it. And data protection is about two things mostly: doing things and documenting things. So if you haven't done it, so first of all, you should do it. And if you have already done it, which I'm thinking most of the companies do it already, but they don't document it. So they have to document whatever the processes they have in the company, wherever the personal data goes. And so this document can be asked by the data protection authorities in Europe anytime. And this is the reason why everybody has to be compliant. I'm just gonna stop there and see if there are any chat questions out there. Yeah, so Sunshine says that she posted a bit about Twitter on Twitter about this specific article as well. So there are no questions. I'm just going to move forward. So documentation is the most important and critical part, because whatever you do, I compare it with to my customers whenever I give a demo, that it's like a baby was growing up and nobody changed the diapers. So privacy is like diapers that nobody changed, and of a baby. Like baby is a company, and now you have to change diapers and keep working on it. So this is the thing that nobody likes to do it. Nobody loves to do it. But now this is a so critical part, and the reason why it's so critical is because the fines are huge. The fines are up to 20 million euros or 4% of annual global revenue, and this is huge, and that's why companies should start caring about it. And that's why they have to put fines, because company internally inherently do not want to work on this, because this is something that this is the thing that they doesn't cover their actual business, and that's why the enforcement and the fines are there. And then we all know about Mark Zuckerberg. He's currently in a big problem, and in a big circle of people asking him a lot of questions. And he said himself in his own presentation, in his own report, that when he started Facebook, and he never knew about that something like this could ever happen. So he never took care of the privacy as much as possible, and so now they are liable, and they should take care of personal data. And so now we all see the Facebook is changing according to the personal data as well. The thing that I'm trying to connect here is that companies are not taking care of personal data, and just like Mark Zuckerberg, you could be standing in front of the Congress of your own country as well. So you don't want to be in this situation, and managing directors are personally liable. No matter if you hire a lawyer, no matter if you hire a consultant. Mark Zuckerberg had the best lawyers, best consultant, but he still was personally liable. So you, as a managing director, founder, agency manager, you really have to take care of this specific law, because you actually deal with this personal data. So that's why it's important, because you will be personally liable, not your lawyer. So I want to go further and discuss. GDPR talks about personally identifiable information. And so what is personally identifiable information? Personally identifiable information, that is called PII, is actually anything that can track back to a human being. And just to stress that GDPR came out of personally identifiable information, because humans like us, we have a personal right to have our privacy, and this is a basic human right. And so companies do not care about it enough, and we do not care as a part of companies didn't care that much before. So now we have to take care of it. And so talking about the PII, it could be your name, email address, IP address, your geolocation, your medical records, your online profiles, your passport IDs, anything that can track you back. It's a PII, and in that PII, basically, it could be PII of your parent, your citizens, your employees, your consumers, your investors, your partners, your users, your website visitors, so anybody you're taking your personal data directly, it affects the PII, and you should take care of PII. I'm just going to stop and see if there are any comments there. If and when the ISO asks a company for documents and company fails to provide them, what happens? Basically, according to ICO, if you according to German data protection authorities, if I give you an example, they say we're going to find companies who don't have documents. So and there are certain German authorities that can directly fine you without even going in an audit. So you should be really well ready for it. Then Michael says that can they enforce GDPR in the United States? Yes, because United States has Privacy Shield and comes in international law, and GDPR actually recognizes US, and not only US, but 10 other countries that are involved in that are considered to be taking care of their citizens' data. So based on international law, it can not only in US, but anywhere in the country can charge you based on that. Can we get a copy of PII chart? Definitely, I will send the presentation right after to Sampath, and he can share it with you in the follow-up email. And if I am in India and I don't pay the fine from ISO, which is imposed in Germany, Sushant, the answer to you is that if you're in India, first of all, India GDPR doesn't recognize India and many other countries as safe countries, and so you really have to make sure that the only way to still tap the European market is by taking the technical measures in place. This means that you should be really protecting the personal data, and that's the only way you will get European customers. So this is the answer to it. I'm going to go forward because the questions that you are asking right now are based on the same presentation, so it will answer your questions. Yeah, and just discussing why is it important other than fines, why is it important other than privacy? It's important because there are people out there who do not wish well for other people. These people are actually cyber thieves, cyber crimes are happening. They are data thieves, and these people are basically trying to take data as much as possible and selling it to other people. People have shared when there is a data breach happening. One of my companies that I was using was 8Tracks, and 8Tracks actually got a huge breach, and people sold the data. I also was using LinkedIn in 2012, and my data was also compromised, such as name and email address and credit card. And so these people are selling these information online, and so you really need to, as a consumer and as a data controller, which is company, have to take care of the personal data so it doesn't happen that much. I'm going to move forward and give you some terminology so that you can understand what it actually means. In GDPR, there are certain terminologies which are very unclear. The first terminology is data subject. Data subject is basically a user of your app, a customer of your app, a customer of your company, anybody who is a European resident using your service or being hired by you is a data subject. And data subject simply means it could be a user of an app, visitor of a website, channel partner who's working with you. So basically anybody who's a European resident and anybody who is using your services or working for you is a data subject, basically. Data controller, we all are data controllers who have our own businesses, even if we are one-person company or a blogger. If we get anybody's personal data and this person give us the consent to give us their data, then we become automatically data controller. For example, Facebook. If we sign up for Facebook, we become the data subject, and Facebook is the data controller. If you have a blog and if somebody signs up for your newsletter, then you are a data controller. So giving you just ideas, if somebody signs up to your app, to your services, such as SaaS services, then it becomes you automatically become data controller, and somebody who signs up becomes a data subject. I hope this definition is much more clear. Data processors. So one of the previously in GDPR, data controllers were responsible in the data protection law of different companies, but now GDPR is enforced to the data processors to be compliant. And data processors are mostly basically people who are we as a SaaS companies. SaaS companies are data processors. We do not control the data. We only provide a platform for our customers to use our software to do their jobs better somehow. So Salesforce is a data processor, Allure is a data processor, Ecomply.io is a data processor. If you use Google Analytics, it's a data processor. So anybody who works for you, and if you're a data controller, that become automatically data processor. So now I'm going to jump to do's. And before looking at do's, I'm just going to look at if there are any questions. Yeah, so I hope that these questions are answered. What about the third-party plugins being used? Do we take care of the vendor? Yes, you have to take care of the vendor, and I'm going to tell you in those about do's as well. Yeah, so basically there are no questions, and so I'm going to move forward in the do's. And in the do's, there are certain things that in the GDPR, Ecomply.io already helps you. So the first thing that I would suggest you to do is, which is the start of anything. If you have a sales strategy, let's say, you have a goal for it, you have a target for it. If you're marketing, then you have a goal for it. If you have any kind of thing you do in life or even in your company, you have goal for it. So GDPR says that you need to have data protection goals. And data protection goals template is provided by Ecomply already in English and in German, so you can use it anyway. In our app, but here there are 5 things that you have to take care, which is basically data minimization. And data minimization, they says that you need to not use data of other people if you don't need it. So you should, and for example, if I am currently if a customer of mine did not get back to me and he's not paying me enough for a year, then in this whole year he did not get back to you, did not visit you, he did not try your services, and in this whole thing they did not use me, so I should remove the data. The other possibility is that if I have stopped working with other third vendor and I have not deleted my data, they still have my customer data, so I should delete the vendors. So this is one thing. This other thing is fairness and transparency. Apologies for the typo there. Fairness and transparency is more about you should be fair with your customers or to the data subjects, and you should be transparent. This means that you should always tell what data you hold for them, and always tell them where is the data going, to which vendor is it going if it's a data processor, to which platform is it going, how you use the data, basically privacy policy stuff. But more importantly, now you should tell them what you're doing. Previously you were not liable to tell them. So transparency is more important, and the more transparent you are with your customers, the more they will trust you. So this is the goal 2. The third goal is basically confidentiality and security. Confidentiality is that and security combined together. This means that you have some kind of encryption in your own company in terms of HR or marketing or sales, or if your customers are logging into your SaaS app, you should have encryption, and not only encryption outside as a front end, but behind your app as well. Also, it means that you need to have some kind of backups in your company as well, and some kind of system that people are able to their data is protected. So this is the idea here. And the fourth part is purpose. Purpose, basically, you have to tell your customer that which reasons you're actually using their data, and then you have to commit to them that you will use the data for that purpose only, and for this much period of time. So they should know everything about it. I'm going to move forward and tell you much more do's, and which are simpler than this. So you need to hire an internal data protection officer, or lead, we call it. Most of the companies might not need a data protection officer if you are if you don't have more than 250 employees, but you have to hire somebody internally as a data protection lead if you still have a lot of data in your company. As a SaaS company, even us, we even have to have somebody in the company as well to take care of data protection, and we call it data protection lead, internal data protection lead. And this person is a person who is monitoring the data and understands where the data flows, which customers are where going, which data is flowing through all over in the company, which countries, which vendors, which internal departments. So this person is actually responsible to monitor and lead the project, and he has to keep continuously make sure that this is happening. So you should appoint it, and we help you with the template as well in our app as well with this, so that you can just hire somebody in your company and give them this letter. And so this is the evidence of Article 37 saying that you have done it. I'm going to look at the questions again if there are any, to answer the questions in between. For example, I bought 24 sessions and they store data. How do I control that? Sunshine, the simple answer to that is you have to ask for data processing agreement to them from them, and Ecomply will help you to manage 24 sessions for you. And we have a feature in there that you can manage data your third-party providers. So it will be very simple for you when I show you in the app. Now I'll move forward towards the do's more. Adding the cookie consent. This is a new thing. Maybe some people find it annoying, but cookies we are all the time storing cookies, such as Google Analytics. I'm using LeadWorks as well, so I also use some cookies. I'm also going to have some kind of affiliate program, so I'm using affiliates to track how many people are actually coming to my website to pay them commission. So I'm using cookies for my company, and so I need some cookies by default that are, if you look at the necessary part here, by necessary part means that by having a legitimate interest that you have to use these cookies to improve the performance of the website. But some cookies are for marketing, for analytics, for preference, that you still have to ask for consent. And there's a really nice app called CookieBot that helps you with it. So I've just taken a screenshot of that and showing. And this cookie, you have to share it with the customer as soon as they are on the website, so they know that they have to agree or disagree with it. So this is being very transparent about what you use in your company and sharing these details. Ecomply does not have this, but we are also planning to use CookieBot. Right now we have a simple plugin for WordPress, but that's also compliant enough. And we also paid for those services, but just to give you an understanding that this would be the best solution for you out there if you are looking for cookie consent. Then we move towards privacy policy. You need to update your privacy policy, and so Ecomply will also help you with a privacy policy. Right now we do not have templates for this, but we will eventually have templates for these. And in this privacy policy, I just wanted to give you a glance of it. You need to tell what type of data you collect, how you use the data, what third party you use. You have to tell them. So for example, here it's written infrastructure such as AWS, MongoDB, analytics such as Mixpanel, Metabase, integration such as Salesforce, Slack, Google, payments such as Stripe. So you have to tell all of these to your customers as soon as they land on the cookies part, and so you can direct them towards privacy policy. And the good part about this whole thing is that you have to be very easy to understand. So in a simple, plain language. So you don't need to have a legalese or lawyerish language in there. You can write it yourself, so that if you understand this privacy policy yourself, then everybody understands it. And then you also give them their rights. There are 8 rights from Article 12 to 20, talking about they have always the choice to be forgotten, to be edited, to be deleted, to be accessed the data. So you have to all give those rights in your privacy policy. So you have to do this definitely. And so you have to update your privacy policies in simple words. Lead magnets. Basically, in the lead magnets, you should definitely, when you take your show your white paper or case study, you should. So I love Convert because I'm also having Convert's webinar next week as well. But Converts is clearly saying adding a consent that we're going to give you GDPR related content in 3 follow-up emails. So you say yes or no, and this is very clear. You need to have these consent in place. You just can't send it to details. So this is very important, and consent is a part of Article 7 recital. Article 7 actually, by giving the modification how the consent should it be. So this is you have to do in your company as well. Registration part, registration consent. So when somebody logs into your app, you at least have to show them your privacy policy, and they have to agree with your privacy policy and terms and conditions. But you can also have one more link where they can send a newsletter, and you can add them. You want to hear from us, you can have these newsletter. So basically, registration consent is also important there. I'm going to stop and see if there are any questions out there. Do I have to disclose all the SaaS tools that we are using to track internal process, that customer info, or the details? Erwin is asking. The answer towards would be, if it's related to your customers and you see that you're monitoring or analyzing those details, then yes. So this is a simple answer towards that. Pete is asking, how long until you will have templates such as policy and terms and condition. Terms and use, so we do not provide terms and use. Terms and use is very specific to you, but we will definitely provide you privacy policy, and it will be by this month. That's it. So these are the two questions that were out there. So I'm going to move forward and answer you about cold calling. So can you do cold calling? Yes, you can still, cold emailing. You can definitely do cold emailing, but you have to make sure that there's a legitimate interest to reach out to that person. For example, if you're selling mangoes, and you know that if you're a wholesaler and you need to give it to the businesses which are retailers, so there's a legitimate interest to reach out to a retailer that I am a wholesaler and I give cheaper mangoes. Would you like to use it? So this is the legitimate interest basis, that you have a really legal basis of it, which is legitimate interest, saying yes, I think this will make business sense. So this is, in simple terms, you can use cold emailing based on legitimate interest. So if you look at my email address, I reach out to cold emails to only in UK, because that's allowed with a soft opt-in. This blue part you see in the app, in the message, which says that it's a soft opt-in, and you can always unsubscribe if you want. And we only retain data for 30 days, and based on the legitimate interest, we're writing you. And how did we find that legitimate interest? We saw the privacy policy of those companies, and we saw these privacy policies are not compliant. They might not have cookies. So we try to sell them cold email to them to basically give them an idea in the email that they need us. And so we really got good response. So we can still write cold emails, but to B2B customers only, based on legitimate interest and not spamming. And you should do definitely a lot of researching before even writing to this person. And do not write to personal email address. So that's the answer towards if you can do cold emailing. Next, I'm moving towards documentation part. Michael asked this question. He asked what kind of documentations you do. So basically, documentation is the most important documentation part of Article 30. Says you need to create and maintain records of processing activities. What is records of processing activities? Records of processing activities, actually, whatever you do in your company, in your HR, marketing, sales, HR, IT, affiliate departments, or even in office management, you need to write down whatever the customer's personal data you are actually processing. So Ecomply helps you with that, and I've given the screenshot. So for example, outbound sales management, we help you with answering those questions, such as what are the reasons you are processing the data, what are the legal basis, such as consent and the legitimate interest in there. So this is a huge list in our app. I will show you later on. And this document can be asked anytime by the authorities. And so you have to keep updating it, you have to keep maintaining it, and you have to keep maintaining at least every 3 months. Some companies do it every month as well, if once they are done, but you have to keep maintaining it, and that's the most important part as well. And the thing is, people, processes, and softwares and third parties keep changing, so you need to keep updating as well. So it's not just one time; it's always. So you have to do records of processing activities there. As Sunshine asked in the demo, like you have to, how do you manage vendors? So we have also added the vendor module in our app, which says that add all the vendors, and these vendors are going to, you can just, we actually let you search the vendors, and some vendors are already there. It's a curated list, so anybody in our customers add vendors, you can just search them and find them. So you have to ask your vendors to be compliant, and these vendors could be internal for HR use if you are in Europe and have European employees. But if you have European customers, then definitely ask these companies to provide you the data processing agreement, so that you are protected and they are protected at the same time. And so we will help you with this as well. But the simple answer towards is that you have to answer. You have to do basically what do is basically asking your vendors to be compliant as well. So don'ts. And before moving to don'ts, I want to see if there are any questions. So the app is just basically checklist for compliance. No, actually, the app is not checklist for compliance. App is actually a checklist that helps you to do documentation right, and then maintains you, and then it will create reports for you. So it's not just documentation. It's just not checklists. It's actually making you do stuff. So I will show you in the app soon. Does it simplify the process by integrating into our website somehow? It doesn't integrate into your website, but there will be a new completely module that will be actually called data subject access request that will help you to provide legal basis records of processing activities with customer details and whatever the customer asks for his data. Erwin, if you do not want customers just do everything that is told, better read from the Dutch authorities. I don't know if it's in English as well. So don'ts. Talking about don'ts, don't assume that your privacy policy will automatically make you GDPR compliant. Privacy policy is one part of it, that's being transparent, but you have to still follow other goals and other mandatory requirements, and documentation is the biggest part of this GDPR compliance. As I said, the baby grew but did not change the diapers, and now there's the time to change the diapers by documenting. So privacy policy will not make you compliant. But I have to give you one insight in here, that authorities are first going to check you by looking at your privacy policies and your cookies, and then they're going to write you email. So the first weak part is privacy policy, and then they internally ask for a document. So you should definitely update your privacy policy in there. Don't assume that the GDPR is a one-time project. People keep asking you why you have monthly subscription pricing, and why it's a one-time project. You have to enter the data one time, and you have to document the data one time, and then it's done. It's a continuous process. Compliance is called Plan, Do, Check, Act. And then GDPR is about, you should keep maintaining it. Those goals you written down in your company, you should keep maintaining those documents. You should keep editing those documents based on the request. Authorities can ask you anytime. Also the accountability part, who actually is writing those details. So this is also important as well. So if HR manager is writing, then he is responsible. So later on, each department head is responsible for his own answers. So that's why it's very important for accountability purpose. And as I said, people, processes, products, software, vendors, third parties, they keep changing, and you just keep updating it. So it's not just a checklist. It's not just a one-time thing. It's multiple time. Then another don't is that don't assume that your servers are in Europe and that makes you GDPR compliant. Yes, it's great to have GDPR compliance in terms of if you have your servers very close to you so that you can monitor it. But just having servers will not make you compliant. It's great to have servers in Europe so you can actually close a lot of European customers. But most importantly is that your servers are actually backed up as well. So you should definitely ask Google Cloud, AWS, DigitalOcean to be compliant as well, and to make sure that whatever GDPR is asking, if they're doing it or not. Moreover, don't assume that ISO 27701 or Privacy Shield are enough for GDPR compliance. Some American companies say, if I have Privacy Shield, will I be compliant? No, you're not going to get compliant, because it's a self-certification. It's not actually the certificate itself, and GDPR asking you much more things in those 88 articles than just having a certified document in there. ISO 27700 is very close to GDPR. GDPR is inspired by ISO, but ISO is a security-related compliance, but not data protection-related compliance. And data protection goes towards more documentation. So ISO asks you those things. GDPR compliance will definitely help you in you becoming ISO compliant. But these two together will not be enough for GDPR compliance. Definitely, if you have both of them, then it will help, but you still have to be compliant. Don't cold email to your prospect on the personal email addresses. This is very important. As I said, we write email to just businesses and that business email address based on the fact that we have done research enough. We just don't close our eyes and send a cold email because we want to generate more leads. So don't do that if you're actually in a business and you're selling it to a business. Then so don't cold email at all. Don't put all your leads in custom audience. This means that if you have a European customers and you do not have consent, you shouldn't put the details in your custom audience on Facebook. Basically, this is a huge growth that people keep doing it. I definitely don't recommend, especially in France, Germany, and UK, you're not allowed to use this now. So basically, don't do it. The simple answer to this question would be. Also, I want to give you an understanding that people keep asking me that if I use Ecomply, do you give a guarantee that I am completely compliant, and if I do the documentation from your software, am I compliant? Ecomply will definitely guide you and automate you a lot of your processes. But if you are if you say that you have, let's say, taken the consent, but you haven't taken the consent of the customer, then Ecomply can't help you. Ecomply just help you with the software, and the software is there to guide you. There are a lot of softwares out there. There are a lot of Word documents and Excel sheets out there. We are a greater version of it so that you create the right documentation, right bookkeeping for your data protection efforts. And also it guides you to have right template that you can actually use to become compliant. But if you write wrong details in our software, we can't save you. We just give you the right direction. And one more thing, how we are doing it right is because so Ecomply is actually in German and in Germany and European law was the GDPR law is actually comes out of from German law called BDSG. And so and in Germany, the data protection officers are from 1977. And so this is not a new concept in Germany. And one more thing, we are working with data protection consultant who is actually the head of German data security community, data protection community. So, and we have seen what authorities actually want. And so we have the whole list, and that's what we are actually putting. Our first goal is to make your documentations correct. We have more things coming in future, but there are more modules that are going to be there that's going to help you. And so it's just not documentation part. And there's a lot of hassle that's going to be happening in future that you have not thought about it. Only Ecomply knows because we know what authorities actually want. And so we're currently helping you with the documentation, but this is not just the only part. Yeah, so now is a product demo. Before product demo, let's look at the questions if there are any. I have a friend watching with me. He messaged and asked how is different that software than the GDPR software and AppSumo. Yeah, that's a good question, Sunshine. Basically, GDPR tracker is a long checklist with having they are giving you lots of templates, and that you have to do yourself. And you have to maintain those documents in a folder of your in your file. So it's like if you download a template list and from different websites, and on Google you can clearly find it. But what we have done is we have taken those templates inside our software, and you have to manage everything inside our software. We are the data protection management system that you can actually use and keep maintaining it. It's like a bookkeeping tool. Like for example, if you used to do audit, you can definitely find what is required in audit and in accounting, but you need a software to do those audits, and we help you with that. So this is just not a checklist. This is people compare us with GDPR tracker. Actually, we are much more than GDPR tracker. I don't even compete against GDPR tracker. My competitors are mostly OneTrust or DPO Organizer or Privacy Perfect. You should, if you want to look at it, look at those companies that are creating data maps and data flows. And GDPR tracker is not at all doing anything near to that. And our software is actually much more making you compliant by step rather than just giving you yes and no question. And so we have a yes and no question, a gap assessment, which we give it for free. If you need to be compliant and understand what you need to do, then you can use it for free. I can give you after the call, after the demo. What if one business, but like 4 types of websites operating with the different data collection methods, and would one deal be all right for this? As long as, Barna, as long as you have one one business and several products, it's all fine to use one product. You don't have to use multiple products for multiple Ecomply deal for multiple products. Then there's Sunshine. No. Do you need to appoint a DPO if you're solopreneur? So if you're a solopreneur, you need to be your own DPO and make sure that you're not doing anything wrong. And so basically the idea is that just become a DPO and make sure that just become yourself a DPO, and then don't make those mistakes and take care of those goals that you're actually allowed to or should be having. So this is the answer, and I'm just going to show the app now so that you can all see. Can you all see my app right now, which is just shows the long version of it and the long list? I'm just looking at the chat right now to answer your questions if you can see it or not. Can somebody quickly write answer in the chat box that they can see my app? Okay, perfect. So let's move forward. So basically, we understood that GDPR is a very complicated topic, and in this complicated topic, how you can simplify it into step-by-step process. So we basically assume that you know nothing about GDPR. So we start from welcoming you properly. So initially, the 10 minutes is just setting up very quickly. So we basically welcome you with ecomply.io, and then we tell you we help you achieve GDPR compliance, and we help you to remain compliant for a very long time. So it's just not one time, it's long time. And we are reviewed by experts. So Daniela Duda, our data protection advisor, she's the German data security officer and chairperson. And so she reviews our app and keep giving us feedback. So this is not just a software company doing GDPR, rather it's a serious company working with serious people out there. And so I'm definitely sure with GDPR Tracker, you can ask if they have a deep. They do not even claim to have any kind of advisor in their website, but we do actually. And we also give RAIM Datenschutz, that's the actual German version of RAIM Data Protection Company. It's on our website on About Us page where you can just go and see. So this is a step one. Then you go to step two. This is a complete open version. When you just start, this is what you see, and you say, does GDPR actually apply to me? And if the answer is that if your question is, did you offer products and service to your residents, then hell yes, and it applies to you. And then you can click on it and become compliant. And so this is just start of it. And then you go ahead with setting up data protection management system. And this data protection management system, it starts with asking you to update the logo. So I'm just going to update the logo right now here. And so that we have a lot of logos. And so now I just updated the logo. I said, I'm in Ecomply GmbH. I set it up. Then you have a declare of data protection goals. So as you said, as I said, there are a couple of goals that you have to do on your own. So we give you a template of this. And so you can get a template. I don't know if I can show you this template, but I will definitely show you here. I can save here. And so you can click here and you can get a template. These are templates, regardless of what size of your company is. These are the goals that I actually showed you in my do's as well. So fairness in legality, processing and purpose, transparency, data avoidance, data minimization, data deletion. So whatever I talked about in my call, you have to do these things, and then you have to really mean it and then start focusing on it. So that's another part of it. And then you just upload once you sign this data processing agreement. This complies with Article 5. Then you fill out the information of the company. So since we are Ecomply GmbH, I can just click here. It uploads my detail here. So you can upload the company name, your URL, which is basically https ecomply.io. And then telephone number, address, role. My role is, let's say I'm a CMO, and number of companies estimated. And so basically you're done and you did the steps. So we just literally broken down the steps, and then you declare your data protection goal. And so here I'm just going to click and upload the document so that it's done. And so although I'm not complete, but I have not signed it, but just for the formality to show you that how you can do it. You can click on it and you're done. So basically you would comply with Article Article 5. And then you go ahead, outline your department. This is a very critical step. Here you should define as many departments or as many different parts of your company to make sure that where the data is processing. So I'm just going to write down here 2 departments called HR. Writing my name, Azarshad, azar@ecomply.io. So this is one department I'm adding, and the other department I'm adding is sales. And then the same details, and adding the email address. So you can add as many departments as you want. As I said, we are not a checklist. We actually make you do stuff. And once you confirm your list of department, you click on it here, and you declare a DPO. So right now, I'll become my own DPO. I say I have a document. So we again give you, if you don't have a document for appointing a DPO, we give you a document for that. So you get a document again. And this is like a job description. And in this job description, basically you save here and click on this document and upload basically this data appointment of data protection officer with responsibilities that he needs to do according to the articles. And so I'm just going to go ahead and upload the document now. I have the document. I'm going to write myself here, Azali Shah, details here, uploading the document. So you really have to literally sign this document, so DPO appointment, and it's done. So basically you appointed anybody in your company with a PDF document, signed document, and this whole app is managing your documentation. And once you click on it, you can see milestone 1 is done. So this is 10 minutes thing that you can quickly understand what this app does, so that you can get a feel of it. What is the aha moment? This is the aha moment that will help you step by step, and we guide you with the step by step, and we literally guide you in there. Before moving forward, I want to see if there are any questions. So I'm just gonna look at the chat. Are there any questions somewhere? If you open a task, it loads properly. Had the same issue yesterday. Barna was asking, what kind of people help do you provide if users get stuck? There will be question feature which not everyone understands. So we have a chat group, Sunshine, and so we definitely answer every question in there. If we don't have a quick answer for you, we get back to you by answering your question, connecting our tech team directly. Our tech team is also in the chat platform, so definitely will help you there. Bratslav says, my company is based in Germany. Should I have all policies written in German? Bratslav, we have German versions. I'm just going to show you the German version right now. So right now it's in English. And so here, if I click here in the bottom left, the app turns into German. So we have German version and we have German policies as well, because we are living in German and we operate in German. Our app is in German. My co-founders are in German. So my co-founder is German. So now it automatically converts into German, and the documents are also in German. So just answering your question there, that it's in German, you don't have to worry about it. But if you want to buy the deal, you really have to get in touch with me, because for German customers, we have to add VAT, and that's a important consideration. So don't just buy the deal. Get in touch with us before buying the deal to answer your questions. How many departments do you enter if you work alone? Depends on yourself, your own understanding, Rob. So basically, if you're just one person, so think about what do you actually do. If you, let's say, are a one-person consultant and offer consultancy training and marketing of a company and sales, so there'll be 4 departments of a consultant. If you are, let's say, a web developer, and in the web development, you should define your sales, your marketing, your IT development things, your website if you have. So basically 3 to 4 different departments, and just give a rough understanding of that, and this will really help you to. And if you don't have any understanding, just tell me what do you do, so I can help you create those departments as well. Gonna move forward, and then now I'm gonna tell you what we do actually, which is record the processing activity, which is actually data mapping template. This is, we did not create our software for nice to have. So data maps are very nice to have, see which country your data is moving to. But we created our app to stop, not to get you fined. And so we created an app for creating reports to give it to authorities. So the one thing which is mandatory for everybody, if having processing data processes in place and have large scale of data, such as 5,000, more than 5,000 data, this person has to do it. And if you click on it here on your website, we explain you what are the processing activities. Processing activities is how your personal information moves in Ecomply GmbH, like your own company. What are personal information such as name, email address, employee, customer, and applicants. Focus on why on personal information and moving any compliant, then how. And then and to every personal data that moves in your departments, in your company, that is called processing activity. And this is in collection called processing activity, called recorded processing activity. In short, we call it RP in our company. So once you understand this, then you go ahead and select the processing activity. This is a long list of giving you ideas. You don't have to do on your own, but you have to select those processing activities. And definitely these kind of features that I'm just showing you, this is not there in DP Organizer, in OneTrust, in Privacy Perfect, or even in GDPR Tracker that you actually think is my competition. But anyway, answering your question, we give you a list of processing activities. You say yes, no. It's like we made a Tinder list out of it, so you can just focus on one processing activity and say yes and no. Even marketing, search engine marketing, so we do search engine marketing. Prospecting lead generation, we do prospecting lead generation. Inside sales management, yes, we do. Somebody reach out to somebody who signs up. Outbound sales management, yes, we do. We reach out to people. Email marketing, yes, we do. So we have website of photos and statements of employees, yes, we do. So these are initially marketing ones, and then we have, if I move forward, more importantly, that comes towards website management, admin, and so now it comes towards HR. So HR related processing activities and employee time tracking if you track employees. So whatever is related to personal data in your company, you have to see that if this is relevant to you or not. Definitely this is coming out of a company which is very big, having, let's say, 100 processes, but definitely for us, like even Ecomply has around six employees, and we have around 50 processing activities. We have different software for each of things. So if we have 50 processing, you definitely must have at least 30 to 40, even if you're a solo entrepreneur. Employee offboarding, if you hire somebody. If you don't hire somebody, then yes, no. So these are processing activities, and this will get done, and we'll keep telling you how many of them are done. So I'm not doing all of them, but just telling you, you have to select those processing activities. Before moving forward, I wanted to understand, do you understand what processing activity now actually means? I want to quickly see yes and no in the chat platform to understand that. So can somebody write yes or no if they get recorded processing activity, yes or no, so that I can move forward? Yes, Prasop Kumar says yes. Barna says you are the all-in-one department and should write name, sales, HR, CS, coffee machine. No, not coffee machine. That's a good question. I would say rather the real departments such as customer support, customer service, HR, development, sales, training, and so these departments. Lauren says, as our company grow and change activities, can we go back and update Ecomply to reflect our current state of business? Yes, that's the exact reason why, Lauren, you really need to use Ecomply monthly rather than one time. And that's what I try to explain people, that your processes will keep changing, and your processes will keep updating. You will, if you growing, then your company keeps growing, and then you have to keep changing those processes. Definitely, I have to give you one more feature to explain you that as well. So let's say if you selected all of the processing activity, and you say, okay, now, for example, Ecomply gave me processing activities which are not relevant to my business. I'm a training company. So in training company, I train people, and this processing activity is not there. So you can go on the left side and in the processing activity tab there, and then you can create custom processing activity. Again, this is giving customization already in there, and you can say I'm a training for customers is a processing activity. It's a training department, and then describe what it is actually, the training customers in different areas such as demos. So this is, you just add them and it becomes a processing activity, and the processing activity is added. You go back and then you assign those processing activities. So I said yes to certain processing activities, and as I said, I have a custom processing activity in there, and I say, okay, this is related to sales. You have to assign to different departments to understand where the data flows. And so now I'm assigning all those processing activities to explain you, like, this is automation in there, so you can just click and then it automatically connects all the processing activities. Again, this is what sorry, other software companies are not providing you this automation part. Search engine optimization, prospect lead generation in sales, email marketing. Let's say I will connect it to HR, outbound sales marketing, HR, photos on the website is related to HR, inside sales management to sales. So I just now connected all the departments, and it automatically connects all the processing activity in the app. So you don't have to do it yourself, everything one by one. And so now selecting will not be done. So this is basically done. It says one more processing activity is left, which is social media marketing. Created that. All processing activities are done. So step 11 is done. And then you fill out the processing activities. Before filling out the processing activities, you have to start with HR or sales. So it divides you. It divides the whole department. And then let's say outbound sales management, which is basically, let's say, cold calling. So you have to write down the reasons why you do it. So I'm just going to write cold calling people, cold calling genuine prospects to find out if they are GDPR compliant and offer services. So this is just writing what are the reasons. This is what your customers also really want to know, and then decide to find what is the legal basis. Since I don't have a consent to call people, I actually based on the legitimate interest, because I think these people have no privacy policy, as I explained. Then I go ahead and have a data subject category such as who I reach out to, and I will reach basically these are the customers of mine. Sometimes you're a SaaS company, and it's also possible that you are based on the legitimate interest, you are actually serving your customers. So we have your customers part in there as well. And then you go ahead and you say, do you disclose this to somebody? You say yes. Internally, I disclose it to HR department or sales department or marketing department. And do you disclose it to somebody externally, which is vendors, third parties? You say yes. And then you go ahead. So it still says I have to fulfill the description, what kind of data I take, name, phone, shipping address, residence, whatever the data you take. And then you go ahead and you fill it out. I'm not going to fill all of them out. I just wanted to give you an idea on that. So you can fill the details of processing activity. You go back to to-do list and you go ahead and mark those departments. So now you can understand outbound sales department. If it was previously connected to HR, you just click on sales and it creates a report out of it that now this processing activity is connected to two different processing activities, two different departments, and you're done. And then you move forward and mark those processing activities to vendors, and then either you add a vendor, either there are vendors there. So outbound sales management, so we use Salesforce. I can click Salesforce in there, but I can also, there's a curated list, and this is a list that whoever in our customers add their vendors, and it will keep showing in the search bar here. So for example, SendGrid, one of the customers added SendGrid. We don't have SendGrid, so we don't. This is data our customers are filling it, so you can also take advantage of it. And so you can see which vendors you're actually taking care of. And this is called vendor management in our app. And if you click on it, so you're done with vendor management, and then finally you get a report. And this report is a report that authorities really want to see. And so I haven't filled it out definitely, but I can show you this was an open app, and it took really less time to do it. The record the processing activities according to Article 30 is done by showing you that since we did outbound sales management, I will show you just outbound sales management in there. Outbound sales management. So now it says Azhar Ali Shah is a responsible person in HR department. This is a processing activity. The reason why he did it. The external vendors that you just clicked are there. The internal processors are these people. And so it automatically creates reports. And this is what customers. So here, since I did not connect it with sales department, it is just HR department. So it automatically does a lot of things, and that's what GDPR automation actually means. And this is a lot of hassle that you do it on Excel sheet, and we do this automation for you very simply. So this is how our platform works. I also wanted to give you a bit idea that we are working on a privacy policy, so you will get a template of privacy policy to see what you can change in there for your own. So this will be there. If you are a SaaS company, then record the processing activity as a processor will be very important for you. We are also doing that, and this will be also available in startup package. So we want to make sure that even if you are a small company, it doesn't stop you to become GDPR compliant. And so we don't want to charge you extra based on the fact that that you're just a startup and you're 5 people company. You just have to do basics right, and these are the basics that you have to do it right. The other modules that we are going to produce are for bigger and bigger companies or sensitive companies that might not be relevant. And so they have to do other more assessments, other things in the app so that they can get much more compliant. They're much more complicated. So that's why they pay us more, and their times are, let's say, they will save a lot of time if they use Ecomply rather than doing themselves on Excel sheets. So that's why we charge based on the number of users, we charge based on the number of different modules on different enterprises who would like to use us. So this was a short demo. I am going to stop now and answer questions if there are any. Yeah, so I'm just going to look at it here. Rumail to no, it's a demo. Perhaps we'll have training session later on site. We don't believe that there's any training session. The app itself helps you to train, and if you look at the app itself, it has all the content in there. So this is the answer. Marcus, if I'm in Germany, do I have to do it in German or English? Marcus, if you are German, then do it in German, not in English, because the authorities here are a bit conservative and they want to see reports in German. That would be the answer to you. But let's say if you're not in Germany and you're not even in any European country, do it in English, because you're a global customer and you still have to go global, I would say global processor and controller, so you can do it in English. How will you add vendors? Mario, I hope I showed you the vendors how I add. So this would be the answer already. I don't know if I answered it in the app or not. Sunshine, in what cases can there be problems? I don't understand the question really well in the problems. I think as a small company, the authorities are going to come to the last. The fines are going to first come to the bigger and medium-sized companies. So you're still safe, but you have to be ready. And maybe it's possible that if you do something wrong and send the wrong email address, or your customer complains, then authorities are going to ask you for the documentation. So you have to be always prepared. Adrian, let's assume I have three small companies, each with 1 to 2 people. Can I use my license Ecomply to all 3 or just one? If you have 3 different companies, 3 different incorporation, then you need to use Ecomply for either growth or SME package. We have to discuss, Adrian, personally. We haven't made the app for multiple companies. We have made apps for multiple uses. For multiple companies, if your company is registered differently, we have to discuss how we do the pricing part. But go ahead and buy the startup package to understand what Ecomply does, and then you can always upgrade. What do we need to do mandatorily, right? This is kind of legal. Yeah, so this is the mandatory thing is right. So documentation is the mandatory right thing you have to do, and this is what we actually do, help you do it. This is what authorities want, and following a path to compliance actually answer those questions. And following those milestones answer those questions. This is the mandatory part, which is compliant. So update your privacy policy, have data protection goals, do the record of processing activities, and make sure that you don't cold email people. Make sure that you are have technical measures in place. That's kind of encryption, pseudonymization, and then you are almost there. You will never be 100% GDPR compliant. It's very idealistic law. So basically, you will never be 100% compliant. But this is how you will be actually legally compliant. So I'm open to questions. Sampath, you can also join in if you want to be there, and I'm here to answer questions. Mario's question was, Paul asked, I have 1 incorporation but 10 in domains. Mario's question, the answer is that if you have 10 domains, doesn't matter. If you have 1 incorporation, you use 1 business deal. So you need 1 license for this. I hope I answered Paul's question. After buying, the billing information page shows a will renew on June 14th. Yes, Pranesh. Basically, we have technically integrated Stripe in a way that it automatically renews. So don't worry about this. In a week, you will not be able to see this. It will just say that it's a lifetime. But the package you're buying is actually lifetime technically inside our app. We just have to change the language of it by next week. So don't worry, it's a lifetime package and it's lifetime subscription. Answering you that. Can you show us 1 more time to add vendors, and if the vendor does not exist in the curated list? Yes, definitely. I can go ahead and make a vendor. So if you click down there, mark other companies that are involved in the processing activity. You click here. So let's say this is vendor management, and in this vendor management, you just go ahead. So for example, I use Intercom. Intercom is already there. Maybe I just write some X company. Could be German. So there is no company that I can see in there that could help, and so I can click here and I can add the company. The company could be, let's say, Salesforce. Salesforce is a good company that I can go ahead. Salesforce vendor name. I don't know Salesforce email address. I'll just write Salesforce on Google, and then see if I can find Salesforce details on Google. Yeah, here. So this is their address, and on wiki, contact details. I'm just looking at contact details of Salesforce. Contact me, and just going to look at how we can add this in the app actually. So here is the detail of the salesforce.com, and so I'm adding here. They have given the London details, and so I'm going here, adding the details here. They say it's London, and then they say in here in the address the postal code as well. So this is the postal code of London, UK, United Kingdom. And then I will write info@salesforce.com, let's say. So Salesforce is there. So now the answer of vendor management should be concluded here. I hope this helps. Paul, can our credit card details be removed from account after we've added the code from SaaS Mantra? I'd prefer not to have my card details stored when they're. So just answering your questions, Paul, Stripe doesn't store any data. Stripe stores the data, but SaaS Mantra or Ecomply doesn't store any data. This is another processing activity that we have to do. So your credit card details will never be stored in our system, and you have to always update it. So it's already there. Prasob, I have a company named ADS and a parent company having 3 subsidiary companies who cater different customers, and all of these companies are having their own website app shops. So how do I do the documentation for 3 different websites with single license for Ecomply? We are only 2 people who manages the 3 subsidiaries as a family business. So have ADS as a parent company, and then add departments based on those different web domains that you have, and on those web domains, make those custom processing activity regarding those departments, and then comply with it. So basically, you can do all the customization in our app by having different departments, and those different departments could be HR department X.com, HR department Y.com, HR department Z.com, and so you can divide it based on the different web domains. How long is the LTD offer valid? The LTD is there until 18th of May. Erwin's question, do we have to disclose the use of virtual assistants who have access to limited customer info? If so, how do we indicate that? So have another processing activity, Erwin, called virtual assistant processing activity, virtual assistants helping in HR. And so add that in the detail of processing activity first, and then have some kind of a contract with them saying that they don't share the data. Make sure that they are technically sound, for example, their laptops and are protected, their passwords are protected, they are not using any kind of public domain to use this, or they're like, if you don't know what they're doing, just make sure that you have a contract in place. And so I will share data processing agreement in our vendor management, so you will be able to use that and just tweak that vendor data processing agreement for that virtual assistant, and you're good to go. Marcus, I tried your app. When you asked for employees, I say it's only me. I still got a lot of questions of employees. Why? Interesting. I have never thought about it. But are you talking about the app? If I think our question, I just showed you the demo, and in the demo it never asked me regarding employees. It's regarding the people. Obviously, it asks you the employees because it assumes that you are more than 1 person company. But you can always ignore that and keep moving forward. VA or even contracts, I suppose, for, yeah, Sunshine is right. The hosting company has access to my data code database and the website. How to deal with it? Adrian, get a data processing agreement with them. We're going to help you with that as well in the vendor management, so don't worry. It's coming in soon. But like, for example, Intercom, we use Intercom, and Intercom already has a data processing agreement. We have signed it with them. Zapier has a data processing agreement. So big companies already have it. So I'm sure if you're using AWS or DigitalOcean, they should provide you data processing agreement. If they are not providing, stop using them. They are not compliant and they are not taking care of technical measures enough. So we will help you with vendor management. After creation of this document, we have to do with this. Sorry, if you feel funny at this point, I may miss the application of this document. What we have to do after creating this documentation, you have to create reports, and that reports could be asked by your customers, or reports can be asked by the authorities, and you have to keep updating it. Right now your customers are not asking for it, but eventually the customers ask, and they will ask all the processing activities related to the customer. So we will give you a custom option where you can just download all the customer related processing activities and then give it to them. Example, you just mentioned AWS. It skipped my mind. Do we have a checklist? We are going to give you technical organizational measure checklist, but like it's far future. You can just Google what do you need to do for your database provider, data center provider, to make sure they're GDPR compliant. You will easily find it. You missed it if for some reason one or two vendors missed out. I am unable to understand, Sunshine. Can you ask the question again? So yeah. If for some reason one or two vendors are missed out, example you just mentioned it skipped my mind. Do we have a checklist? As I said, for vendors, we will give you a way to check them by giving you a sample data processing agreement, and you have to see if they are actually following. If they don't have a data processing agreement, give them this data processing agreement, ask them to sign, and ask them to also comply step by step like you did, because they have to also make sure that they're compliant. And so we will take care of your vendors eventually. Don't worry about it. Yeah, it could be AWS, it could be Dropbox. You have to ask your vendors to give you the data processing agreement. That's the only way you can get out of this compliance. Do we need to show the report to somebody in our website? No, don't show this report. This is for your internal purpose. Upon request of the customer, let's say if your customer is, let's say you are at Instagram and your customer asks, hey, please give me all my data like Tinder did. So you just not to already give, you have to give the data that you have in your database, and you have to give all the customer related processing activities. And that's a different module, and there's a different product we are creating, but that's for companies that are more consumer focused. So if you are among that, we will have another product for that. And so you need to pull all the processing activity related to the customer. And so only show processing reports when it is asked, not just putting on your website. Show the vendors on your website. Show the privacy policy, which is most important. Erwin, essentially anyone can become customer and request a reporter. If you sell a physical product on your product, so a competitor can reverse engineer your process from that reporter. Is that correct? No. I don't think if you are selling a physical product, he can actually find out how you do it. He can just find out what processing activities are there. And first of all, if a customer asks, he has to be actually in your database, and most importantly, he should be your user, and you know that this customer is actually confirmed. So you have to confirm this customer that he is asking the right questions, and then you have to give it to him. And obviously a competitor intelligence is a big deal out there, but make sure that these processing activities are for you and for authorities, not for anybody. And so really do check if this customer is actually your customer and a regular customer or not just anybody. If you're using a third-party tracking script on the website, how do you deal with it? We have to mention this on the documentation. Yes, you have to mention this, Pranesh. You have to mention this documentation on the processing activities. For the tracking script, also make sure that if you're tracking these script, make sure that these are added in your cookies and cookies consent, and also ask the third party to be GDPR compliant. We have Poptin as a customer. It's a third party. We haven't started using that properly but Poptin is one of the product that we're going to use, or Intercom has a script as well, or Salesforce has a script as well, and all of them have to be GDPR compliant and have to provide the data processing agreement. If they are not doing it, stop using them. Prasob Kumar, I'm an online retailer who sells Indian groceries in EU. Prasob, if you sell online groceries, you definitely have to become GDPR compliant, because you're directly dealing with EU customers, personal consumers rather than B2B. So that's one thing. So you have to provide those documentation if your customers are asking for it. How about custom order that has detailed info passed on from one tool to another? I didn't understand, Erwin. Could you ask the question again and much more detailed? Michael, I'm a small website development shop in the US, and I'm thinking about myself and clients and how this all applies to us and how I can help clients and our company with this. Can you explain what you think about this? As I said, you're a website developer or you're a shop, you based in US and you eventually moving to EU. They have to go through all those don'ts and do's of my list that I just shared. They have to make sure the privacy policy updated, the data they're working with are also compliant. Whoever the US company they're working with are also compliant. The customer data is protected technically, have encryption in place, pseudonymization in place. So basically all of these things and the documentation together will help them. And so if they're moving towards EU, they should use Ecomply to become document-wise GDPR compliant. Do we need to show some logos like GDPR compliant on our website? Prasob, this is on our roadmap. This will not be part of a startup package, but this is on our roadmap. Once we will have more and more modules, more and more products. In those products, we will actually review you intelligently and then see if you guys are compliant. Then we automatically give you some kind of badge or some kind of certification. But that takes a lot of time and money, and it is currently all human-based. So we really have to think how it will be possible in future. So this is a future product that we are not offering now. What our offering right now is the documentation part. I think Erwin is talking about tool we use. It may share data further. So basically it's vendor and app. That's what exactly why, Sunshine, you need to have data processing agreement in place so that they don't share your data with somebody else. If I'm using Salesforce, I have to make sure that my data is with me, not with somebody else. And so that's the reason why you use a vendor, because you need to make sure that these vendors are not sharing your data. Adrian, the LTD is available till 18th of May 2018. Erwin, related to my previous question about reverse engineering, if I receive a custom order that has detailed info and that info is passed from one SaaS tool to another, do I have a disclose those steps? If I receive a custom order that has detailed info and that info is passed from one SaaS to SaaS, yes. So for example, that's why we are creating documentation, right? So these record the processing activities are actually helping you to find out where these data are flowing, and you should inform if it's related to the customer. Still waiting if there are any questions. Yes, the deal is still 2 weeks. 18th May is the last date to buy the deal. Do you have an offer on affiliate reseller program? Yes, we do. We will do affiliate program right after we have done this the lifetime deal with SaaS Mantra and Sampath. So we will, whoever becomes our customer or whoever is interested, just get in touch with me, azhar@ecomply.io as an affiliate, and I will give you the affiliate link. But we haven't activated it, so we haven't done the software part in terms of tracking part and in terms of cookies. So we will do this definitely right after SaaS Mantra deal, and so this is in the pipeline and it's a part of month of May. So yes, we have affiliate or seller setup program. After buying this product, we may have more queries to ask. Where could we discuss? Prasob, I'll just show you my app right now. And in this app, we have a short chat box where we are always available at least 9 a.m. German time to 9 p.m. German time. So you can definitely write me here. I'm the one usually answering the questions, but Binish, Hauke are also there answering different questions. We are definitely here to help you out if there are any questions. We know that GDPR is a complicated topic and you need guidance other than our software as well. If you have specific questions, you can ask us. You can also write me on my email asking for Facebook group, and I can share the Facebook group with you as well, where if there are specific technical questions, we are ready to answer those questions. You can ask the official thread and live in chat. Yes, so you can also ask the question in the Sampath's SaaS Mantra group as well. to add Michael's question regarding informing clients, will you help with a template used to inform advising clients regarding the need to GDPR compliance? Yes, we will. That's the next part of it. We are creating, if you are a developer, if you are a processor on behalf, Romil, then you need to create records of processing activity as a processor, and that will be also part of startup package. So you will also get that. And so you can just send that specific document to your clients and they will know that you're compliant, basically. Yes, Sunshine, you have attended a class. This is a complicated topic and you need to learn a lot about it. Actually, Sampath also had a couple of questions that he's also have to become GDPR compliant. So Sampath, I have to do a one whole class with Sampath as well. Ain't I, Sampath? Yeah.
Yeah, so that was like really detailed. Thank you so much, Azhar.
No worries. I'm happy to answer all those questions. I know the topic is very complicated, and so I try to help. That's why free demos, free gap assessment. That's where I also sometimes just jump in on a call with customers to just help them out as well. We have Facebook group as well where we also help customers out. So this is the idea in here, to help people and not be panicking rather than focusing on the task.
Exactly.
So that's what we do. Yeah, so this is what we are here for, right? So adding value to people's life. If we are not adding value, what are we doing?
Exactly, well said. So yeah, I mean, that was like pretty detailed, and I'm sure like a lot of us would still have like a lot of questions. So if we have like, I mean, GDPR is like super complicated, has like too many steps. At the same time, Ecomply covers like most of it. And maybe if there's like enough requests, we can have like another webinar before we close the deal. Like it can be anything related to Ecomply or anything related to GDPR. We can have like another webinar. What say people?
They can answer, and I'm happy to answer those questions.
Yeah, for sure.
We can do Ask Me Anything, actually. I'm just trying to give the Facebook link so that they have a question, I can answer them. Basically, answering those questions also makes me learn a lot about the GDPR queries and the people's queries. So I'm also personally interested in these questions. And I'm personally interested in answering those questions because these questions people keep coming, and I can create content around it. So here's a Facebook group that you can join in. And just use this Facebook group as a platform to answer questions. Please don't try the bug report. The bug report should be on the chat platform, but also happy to answer all the GDPR related questions are there. And then if there's any kind of a very technical questions, I can also ask my data protection lawyer.
Exactly. And like Mario said, the first question in your system says, do you offer product or services to the EU? The answer is no, but I cannot stop an EU citizen from buying. Exactly, Mario. That's why we need to be compliant, GDPR compliant. Like, I mean, every single business, unless and until you are like a street vendor and selling goods only to your street, which is somewhere in Antarctica, that is fine. But otherwise, you need to be GDPR compliant.
Yep.
Yeah.
So then it was a yes. Exactly.
Yeah, true.
Exactly. So it doesn't matter where in the world you are and how big your company is, because you have to be GDPR compliant. Yesterday, I was looking at this Facebook group where he said, I am just a janitor and I have details of everybody on my website and Facebook group. Do I have to be GDPR compliant? Apparently, he has everything online, so he has to also be GDPR compliant. And
you will never know when someone from EU will want to subscribe to your newsletter list. So it's always better to be safe than sorry.
Yeah. Please ask Prasop question again. I'm trying to.
Do we need to integrate it?
Integrate the integrations part comes very late if your customers are asking. I would not suggest you to do any kind of integrations unless your customers are asking for it. I'm definitely sure your customers, whoever you're selling right now, Prasop, to your Indian grocery, please send it to me as well. I would love to have some Indian groceries as well. I'm not Indian, I'm a Pakistani, but I love Indian grocery. I have to go to Indian store to buy those. Yeah, so the answer to to that question is that you really have to do it once actually you really need to do it. don't do it unless it's not asked. If the request is once in a year, don't do it. If it request is like once at least a week, then you have to do those requests to answer those.
Okay, perfect.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you, Sanjay. So I think we are good for now, at least.
I can go ahead and to the Russell Peters comedy show, which I'm really looking forward to it. But I'm happy to answer all the questions on Sampath's group and Sampath's thread. I'm active there. I might be a bit delayed due to the working schedule or timing, but I will definitely answer everybody's questions. So please be patient. On the chat group also, I'm also available. So whenever I get time, I look at it and answer. And the working times, I'm always looking at intercoms. I'm there to answer questions. So the summary here is that you can always come to me and ask those questions. And if I can't answer the question, I will ask my lawyer to ask those questions. So we have GDPR covered, actually.
Wow, nice, great. Thank you so much, Azhar. And
yeah,
thank
it was
you,
a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. See you in the next webinar.
Bye.